So let's go ahead and dive into all of the changes that's coming up for this 14-18 Giga mid-set patch, basically a mid-set. I don't know if we'll watch like the video version of it, but we can go over the text version here. The text version says, why is 14-18 patch so big? Long post, sorry. It's all good. I've seen a lot of pretty incorrect takes on why we're making such a big patch and what we're hoping to accomplish. I want to take a minute to be very clear so there's no confusion. First, if you don't want to read all this, I talked about all this on stream on this weekend. You can watch it here. Oh, should we listen to Mort talk about it instead of just listening to me ramble about it? Hold on a second. How long is this post? Holy, it's a long post. But also the video is like 5 minutes long as well. All right, let's just go ahead and listen to what Mortdog has to say.
Okay, so one of the things that's been happening since we've talked about 14-18 and how big a patch it is a lot of people have been saying, hey, is this just a mid-set? What are you doing with the mid-set? The other weird reaction I've been seeing is like,
oh wait, Mort's
it
in the
must
bottom
be a
right.
bad set if they have to rework it all, which is also weird. Or they're sacking this set to try a bunch of weird things. Very weird direction. So I wanted to be very clear on why
It's just so weird.
it, okay? Right now, one of the things I've told you guys before is that the TFT team has grown, and we can work on many things at the same time. So right now we have set 12, cool. We have set 13, cool. We've also got people working on set 14, pretty standard.
Okay,
We've
cool.
also got people working on 15.
Wow.
And 16.
What?
And 17.
Really?
At least. So all this
Holy
stuff is
moly.
being worked on, and that's in addition to things like modes and other future stuff as well. Cool stuff. We'll just call this cool stuff.
Okay.
Cool stuff. So all of this is going on.
So 6
Now,
sets
in
plus cool
addition to
stuff.
all this, we've also got what I'm going to call general quality of life stuff. Actually, let's just go back to the pencil. Let's do this. We've just got general quality of life stuff here. So
Okay.
inside the quality of life stuff, we've got, this is generally where people are like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had a way to simplify Tome of Traits, because Tome of Traits is really complicated? Yeah, what if we just went back to basic emblems and we could like build class emblems? So you got like Frying Pan.
Okay,
So we got
I agree.
Frying Pan here.
He's trying
Or
to draw
we
and
have,
write
hey,
in
let's
paint.
make removers more available. So removers. We'll put removers.
How's this not
here.
like a calculus
And
function?
then we have, you know, we'll call it Cool Thing 1, Cool Thing 2, Cool Thing 3. And we've got all this stuff that we're working on that we'll call cool stuff that could really go in any set, right? But the problem is, let's say we get it all done, and what makes sense would be to launch it all on the start of a set, right? Like, oh, look at all this cool stuff like Frying Pan and removers and blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
What if we just decided to launch it all in set 13? So we put Frying Pan in set 13, the removers, and these other cool things I can't talk about. We put them all in 13. The problem is,
Too much?
all of a sudden 13 is incredibly overwhelming. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
there's
agreed.
so much new, there's a whole new set, and this, and this,
So we
and
learn all the new
this,
mechanics.
and this. It's too much. And so purposely we were like, look, we need to get some of this cool stuff out there so that people can get used to it, right? So Frying Pan felt like a really good thing of like, this is cool. Let's put this out here now and get people used to it. This is pretty cool too. Let's get this out here, and that's really cool too. But these things, let's save those, right? We're actually doing some planning and like, let's save this for this. And this, maybe this should be saved for here. And this, maybe this should be saved for here. Like, we're trying to plan it out a little better so that you guys don't all of a sudden be like, surprise, the whole game's wildly transformed.
I mean, that makes
That'd be
sense.
crazy. So that's part of that.
Okay.
And then while we're here, we're like, hey, how do we just like throw Frying Pan at them? That's weird. Well, what if instead we also were like, let's take this time to make the set even better. Let's go through the set and look at stuff that we're like, oh, you know what'd be cool is if Dragon, which didn't really hit well, if like Dragon could be improved. Yeah, let's do that. Or like, hey, there's a few augments that are kind of bothering us.
Sorry,
Let's
every
improve
time he
those.
writes.
And so let's package that as a sort of like really good bundle so that
There's a text option. All you have to do is just I know he's in the middle of explaining concepts, but all you have to do is just click this A and then just start typing. He doesn't.
everyone's happy. If like I'm playing set 12, it's cool that Riot's adding all of this fun stuff and I'm still having a good experience while we can save the cool stuff for this and some cool stuff for this. And again, this is one of the nice things is like, as our team has gotten bigger, we can plan better. Instead of just like in the old days, it was, oh crap, we just finished something.
Just throw
Let's
it
throw
out
it
there.
out there. Oh crap, we just
Yeah,
finished the next
exactly.
thing. Let's throw it out there,
Yep,
which was
yep.
wild and kind of Wild West.
That's
So we're
funny.
being a little smarter with our planning. And so this is just a cool way for us to bring some of that cool stuff that we're happy for you, knowing that there's even more in the future that should probably wait for future sets. So yeah, and so that's why we're doing that.
All right.
And so the team put in a bunch of effort. For example, we did stuff like the combat charms. We're like, hey, there need to be more late game combat charms. Great, cool. You know, and so that's why we decided to do this like 12.25, if you will,
I
to
see.
get some of the cool stuff that we've got planned into your hands now. And again, that's not even talking about things like Talker's Trials, 5.5, Future Thing,
Huh?
other Future Thing,
Huh?
other like the
There's
team is
more
doing
game
a
modes coming in
lot of
set
cool
13,
stuff.
14?
And so,
Okay.
and that's where people like even above me, right? Like the actual game director Peter or executive producer, or even Blue Velvet to some extent, are
Mortdog's
planning
boss.
to try to make sure we've got this awesome roadmap so that you guys are having fun for years to come. So yeah,
I like the
that's
sound
why
of
you're
that.
getting a 12.25.
All right. You know, Mort is not a keyboard user. He does everything with his mouse. Yeah, no kidding. Really interesting. Really interesting. Okay, so the general takeaway is that they're just trying to make it feel less overwhelming, and they're just releasing a huge patch. They're releasing a huge patch because there's some things they want to introduce to the game, and they want to do a general balance patch, and they figured they can just make it a big moment and have a bunch of people pitch in. So Chimerix, this guy is the legend who actually did sets 4 and 6 and a lot of elements of like 9. He's kind of well regarded as one of the best designers over at Riot for TFT. He's putting time to improve a bunch of these champions. Like, looks like he did a bunch of reworks on things like Ashe, Gwen, and Dragons. Kent is doing Charms. Chaki's doing Honey and Faerie. True, she did class augments. And so there's just a bunch of different stuff. Can we expect this every set? No. As mentioned, when we have key features to ship, we'll likely try to make it a cool patch to go with it. Designers may always not have the time to do big stuff like this, but we don't also want to be afraid to make the current game even better, so we'll do it when we can. Isn't this too much? Too much change? Maybe. Though this time we're specifically trying to not change how things work too much. Every work champ, for example, selects the same items, just less bound to them. I think it's directly good. Increase the flexibility of it. We actually think the impact on things isn't as big as it could be, but hopefully just cleaner. That being said, if this ends up being too much, it'll be a good learning for the next feature we want to ship during a set. Is this because the set is failing? No, not even a little. Magic Mayhem landed quite well and is doing quite good. Player-wise and hours-wise, mechanic was received well. We didn't have to do this at all, but we did. Awesome. Thank you, Mort. Thank you, Mort. Okay, so that's the reason of why they're doing a big patch. Let me go ahead and move myself back down here. I did all that to try and get myself out of Mortdog's way. Okay, so lightning round of trait balancing. So here we go. So with the trait balancing, a bunch of traits are getting adjustments or chase options to go with the frying pan. For Witchcraft has been changed. Hold on 1 second. I messed up this here. For Witchcraft has been changed to be a magic damage poison effect to help it be an option in the early game. Wait, this one's from today, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter what order we go in for the most part. The old healing required you to have a bunch of items for it to be good, but now 4 Witchcraft on 2/1 should be great. The Scholar trait now gives an AP in addition to mana generation, and the 6th piece now gives Scholar the ability to heal allies. Okay, so 8 Shapeshifter now gives them all extra healing based on the max HP, which gives them so much more effective health to deal with. 6 Hunter now gains some upfront attack speed, helping them deal quickly to get that initial takedown for the big 80 bonus. And then he talks about how a bunch of reveals are done. Okay, so Hunter is now going to give you 20% attack speed. Okay, so that's just... So they're adding a bunch of extra bonus stats to make it feel like it's worth going for. I mean, bonus attack speed is really good. Because Hunter gains a bunch of AD. Then Witchcraft takes 4% of their max HP as magic damage per second. So 4 Witchcraft goes from a healing to a poison. I wonder if that interacts really well with Blighting Jewel. I'm not entirely sure. So that just makes Witchcraft a little bit better early mid game. so that should be nice. Scholars, 6 scholar, you get 20 AP. So you get AP for 246, and you also get abilities that heal an ally for 15% of damage dealt. Which ally? Is it like Gunblade? Is it like lowest? I have no idea actually. And then shapeshifters gain max health after the first ability cast. They triple this effect. 30% HP, and you heal 3% every 2 seconds, which is basically kind of like what Dragon's Claw is right now, I believe. Actually, let me look at the... Do you get Dragon's Claw on all your shapeshifters? Let me see. What is Dragon's Claw here? Dragon's Claw is every 2 seconds heal 2. It's better than Dragon's Claw. Oh, wow. Okay, well, they're trying to make it so that these traits actually feel like they matter. 6 scholars seems nuts. I feel like a lot of these verticals sound way stronger. Like 8 shapeshifters, the healing 3% every 2 seconds. Like imagine if you're playing a comp that doesn't have anti-heal. They triple. They have 90% extra bonus HP, and they heal 3%. Yeah, if you don't have Morello or red buff, you are getting cleared. 6 scholars. I can't tell how good this. I don't even know how the ally heal works, but the green looks like it's gonna be. This is like nice utility, and the hunter looks okay. All right. Shen hero augment. Okay. During development, Shen's spell was quite different, and he summoned a single pillar that split apart. As a tank, we adjusted this because it was too inconsistent and often felt like a 4 cost. So the animation had to be scrapped. Okay, so basically Shen was too good. I did not know that. This is a good chance to reuse that animation and turn him into a carry. Now, if you want to run him in Vertical Bastion, you can get him to pump out some decent damage. There's some pretty wacky builds when you get artifacts involved as well. I'm proud of the team for this one. It was a great way to utilize something as we already had and repurpose it to deliver some player value. That's what game dev is often about. I know some people who aren't fans of hero augments are probably nervous reading about this. Cough, cough, Bryce Blum. But it's available on 3.2 only and should feel pretty fair since the damage is split. Be making sure it doesn't launch in an OP state, as the last thing we need right now is another S-tier hero augment. Okay, so the Pillar of Flame is going to summon a volcanic pillar in a nearby hex that erupts, dealing magic damage split between all enemies in a large line, plus additional magic damage every second for 6 seconds. Okay, so he just does a giant line AoE, kind of like what Tom Kench does like right now, except it just erupts, right? And the recommended build is Archangel's BT. Gain 2 Shen, your strongest ability to no longer gain introduction, but now summons a large molten power that damages. Okay, so here's a GIF. Here's the GIF. Wha-pow! Oh, that's kind of cool. He throws out his sword. Oh, and it burns. Oh my. Wait, wasn't there a build the other day that someone was showing me of the Shens? The Shens actually going crazy. If you put Horizon Focus. Oh, but does it stun now? I don't think it stuns, right? Okay, well, another hero augment. I don't know. Hero augments are, as long as it's just not S tier, I don't mind hero augments. I think they're really fun, but I think when they're just too strong and too common and like auto pick no matter what, I don't like it as much. But hopefully it ends up being not like that. Okay, for today's second reveal, let's talk about some slight changes to 4 cost odds. When we first made the change to level 10 and current odds and whatnot, we discussed between 20 and 22% for 4 cost odds on 8. There was some worry that any higher would lead to 3-star 4 cost on 8 being the correct play instead of going to level 9. And Inkborn fables that might have been true, but we're feeling pretty good about the number of resources in the game and want to raise the consistency of 4 cost just a bit. This shouldn't be a massive change or anything, but every little bit helps you find that 2-star 4 cost to get your late game comp going. We want to make sure comps around every cost champion are viable, and this should help 4 costs compete a bit more than they have so far this set. So now they're increasing the odds from 20 to 22. How big? Okay, so if you're rolling, so you see 4 cost 10% more often, but this does compound onto itself. So if there's more people playing 4 cost, you're gonna see more 4 costs often. It might seem like, okay, it's 2%, but it's 2% relative to everybody else that's also trying to play 4-cost and pulling more 4-cost out of the pool. So it might be a pretty significant difference. And there's also fewer 4-costs you have to remember compared to some of the other units. Now you can get 2-1 Lilia Argument and a 3-2 Shen Argument. No, you can't. You can't get 2 hero Augments in the same game. You cannot. There's also minus 2% on 5-cost. And is it? No, 5-cost has been 3%. I think they're taking it from. Where are they taking it from? From 2 costs? What are the current odds? Let me see. Solo usually has a spreadsheet on this. Where's the rolling odds? Miscellaneous, probably. Yeah. Yeah, currently they're taking odds from 27% down to 25 on it. So I think that's good. Okay, Ezreal Rework. Now less of a daredevil and more of a flexible hybrid carry. There's 2 main challenges with Ezreal. First, he would often teleport into danger while casting his ultimate, which is rough for him to be invested in. Now he will only teleport if there's an enemy nearby. This means you can safely backline him and get some damage. Second, Ezreal really struggles to deal with the strong tank. Also true. Since his spell is so much AoE, if he hits only one target, he doesn't hit them that hard. Now gains a chunk of bonus AP on the first target he hits, giving him the burst he may need to deal with tanks. This also makes items like Giant Slayer and Shojin better on him, so they also amp that AP ratio. Okay, so now he's going to deal bonus damage. Combine this with all the Blaster trait buff coming in the next patch as well. Ezreal should finally be dealing the damage of 3-cost champion should be. Who needs a map? That's a lot of damage. 1,500. Oh my god. That looks really strong. This guy's doing 2,300. Fire blast in the wide line during the current target, dealing 886 physical damage to enemies hit, reduced by 25% for each enemy he passes through. The first enemy hit takes an additional 500. If the enemy is adjacent, blink to safety before firing. Okay, so if there's no one around, he casts faster, and he's gonna do another actual single target burst. This might make Ezreal really strong. They're basically just giving him just giving him like a ton of more damage. So I could see Ezreal being very good, and they're also buffing blasters. Woo, okay. Maybe solo frontline Ezreal won't be a meme anymore. Ezreal looks really good. New trait specific augments and a few adjusted ones. Arcana and Dragon get their own trait augment to play with, opening up with new ways to play them. I personally will find it harder to resist Draconic Mastery. Oh, right, they took this out. As an idea of a guaranteed smolder for the trait sounds fun. We also reworked Frosty Frontline to be less frustrating, so now you get an adorable Frost Wolf to join your team. Okay, and finally, Flexible has moved to Prismatic. Rather than keep nerfing it and removing what made it fun, it will now be a powerful version, even stronger than it was released at. Still giving tons of emblems to build around, even more HP. A lot of folks came together to make this patch happen. I'm excited to get in your hands. Okay. Arcane Conduit. Arcana champions now deal 10% bonus damage. If they start combat holding 2 items, they gain a recommended 3rd completed item. They get a recommended. So this gives you Ahri and Hecarim. It gives you 10% bonus damage, and it gives you a 3rd item on all your arcane units, which is up to 4 items. Isn't that a lot? That's a lot. You get 4 free items for Ahri. And remember, Ahri can just be holding like blue buff and tier. Hecarim can just be holding gauge and a sword. And you get the 3rd completed item. So all you need is 6 components to get 2 extra items. That's a lot. That's a lot of value. This feels like maybe something you take at 3-2 and you just pop off. It might be even good enough where you can start playing it early. Let's say you're playing it on some kind of item start portal, like you get artifacts or whatever, and then you can just start getting a value immediately. This is ridiculous. It's binary airdrop. Yeah, it's exactly it. Okay, Draconic Masteries. Dragons gain 10% health and 18% attack speed. After Dragon scores 60 champion takedowns, get a Smolder. That's fun. So, Draconic Mastery summons Smolder after 60 champion takedowns. You get 10% HP and 18% attack speed. Pretty good stats as well. And Nomsy and Shyvana, and they track your amount of takedowns. All right. I mean, that sounds fun. That also sounds really good. I don't know how many takedowns you can get. Okay, so if you go against level 3, level 3, level 4, level 5 on average, that's 8 plus 8 plus 4, so 20. And then 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, which is 20. So 7 plus 7 is 14. 6 plus 6 is 12. So 26, 31. So you expect to get this around middle of stage 4 if your dragons actually are taking down almost everything. Interesting. So stage 4, you're guaranteed Smolder. By the end of stage 4, you should be guaranteed Smolder, assuming that they're actually participating in the takedown. Remember, takedown is just an assisted kill, as long as they're participating in dealing the damage. Okay, winter is coming. The Frost Shade also grants 1 placeable Frost Wolf equipped with the Protector's Vow. The wolf gains 40% attack speed and 30% health per frost tier. Oh, wait, I love this change. At least on paper, I love it. That sounds way better than the Eternal Winter thing, because that's just... It's just so cringe, man. Like they just solo frontline the dummy and just let it take damage, and it doesn't really matter what you do. And sometimes it hard counters your comp. I like it though. 1 placeable frost equipped with the Protector's Vow. I don't even know what it does with the vow. Maybe it just ends up being tankier. But it looks like it gains a bunch of attack speed and HP, so maybe does some damage. It probably is like a little bit of a super golem. And flexible, gain 1 random emblem at the start of each stage. Get a random emblem. Your team gets 40 HP. So they buffed flexible from its base version and made it prismatic. I feel like this augment is going to still be like ridiculously insane. We'll see. Interesting reworks for sure. Okay? Out of all of the, I'm pretty sure flexible is gonna still be like, because what's the win rate of flexible right now? Flexible is like in the 20s, right? It's like 20%, but if you go like higher rank, it's like, yeah. So, but if you go to the previous patch, flexible's win rates was 21.6. The patch before that, it was 26.4. And the patch before that, okay, and the patch before that was like, yeah, it was basically super duper high. What do we think the new win rate of flexible is going to be? Can you turn down the music a little bit? Sorry. Is a new patch out? Sure. Let's just go with that. Whatever gets you most excited. All right, here's the Wukong rework. Wukong is the one champion who doesn't have any traits and is meant to be an extremely flexible frontline champ for a variety of comps. The problem is his old passive limited his itemization options pretty heavily, restricting what you could play with him. So in patch 14.18, we're adjusting the passive. Now his passive simply gives him 40 bonus armor and MR that deteriorates a bit each second. Our goal is that if you can see a Wukong early, you should be thrilled since he'll be quite strong compared to other champs that requires traits to reach their maximum. Wukong with something as simple as Warmog to stage 2 will be tough to take down and allow you to stay open to other lines. However, this is purposely a nerf to his cap. A Wukong 3 with 2 gargoyles was far tankier than he should be and really only held back by a large amount of true damage. Very true. Wukong 3 is still an option, of course, but it won't be quite as over the line as it was previously. Hopefully this shape makes Wukong more fun to play more often, which is what we want for this unique threat-like champ. Okay, so gain 40 armor and MR, lose 1 of it every second. So at the end of the fight, you only have 10 armor and MR. Your active spin, getting shield for 4 seconds and dealing a total physical damage. Okay, so he still scales off of resistances. So basically, you get more upfront bonus MR and armor, and it just deteriorates. What does he do right now? Actually, let me see, just to make sure I understand this correctly. Wukong right now gain 30% bonus armor resistance. Got it. Okay, so I guess what this makes it do is like if you play something like flat HP on him, Warmog of Redemption, it should be a little bit more value. But I can't really like understand the value of losing 1 each second. Okay. It's a light Wukong rework. Faerie Rework. Faerie has been in an odd spot where the 2-piece is always extremely good for the free crown, but going 4-6 is usually not worth it. And the 9-piece ended up being disappointing for the difficulty it took to reach it. We're adjusting the trait to a 3, 5, 7, 9 now, which makes it a bit difficult to get into. But now each breakpoint is more satisfying. At 5, you'll be able to get the armor, which allows you to run dual carries and get more healing on the armor wearer. And this makes 9 even stronger, since now you have 3 radiant versions of the Faerie items. We're hoping this opens up the Faerie line to be something with options at every big point, something you're excited to pursue. Okay, so you get 3 and 5 in, and that gives you 2 items now. And at 7, you get a second crown. So you just get 3 free items when you're playing Faerie now. Yeah, you get to run Cat, Callista, and Rakan. Wait, what? That's nuts. And they get 55% damage amp for both. Isn't that a lot? And both crowns heal Rakan? Oh, yeah. Forgot about that. What? That sounds really crazy. 55. Okay, two carries with 55 bonus damage amp that you get online quickly because of how many items you get. And then you get a tank item that heals. So these crowns have built-in Gunblade. How many? Okay, so you need 7 Faerie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus crown. Okay, so you plus an emblem. So basically, if you get a Faerie emblem, you rush 7 Faerie. It's gonna be really good. You need a spat, but yeah, but like I'm assuming if you I don't know if you can hard force it, but if you get 7 with an emblem, this sounds really strong. 2 crowns to make Rakan actual units. Okay, the thing is, remember when Rakan was an actual unit because Preserver's OP? He was unkillable. They don't heal themselves, so it's not like a Gunblade. I mean, it's better. You're right. It's not like Gunblade at all. It actually deals damage. Yeah, you know what the biggest problem with Gunblade is? It doesn't do anything besides heal whatever based off your damage. This is actually just straight up better Gunblade. You're right. It's Gunblade that gives you 55% bonus damage. You're right. Okay, Faerie looks really good. Faerie and Ezreal right now look like they're going to be the 2 strongest things so far. Can't tell about the Wukong rework. Oh, also flexible at prismatics sounds really good. All right, here comes the next round of changes. With certain changes, it becomes possible to have 27 copies of a champion. When players pull it off, there's consistent disappointment that nothing happens, and the game doesn't reward you for it. That's sad. Well, no more. Now, if you do manage to pull it off, you will, in fact, get a 4-star champion. These aren't meant to be game-winning conditions or anything. They're still 1-cost champions after all. They should still bring a smile to your face and offer a bit more power. Okay, so 4-star champions. I've heard about this. The star scaling is the same as 2 to 3-star, just repeated for their HP and AD. Example, of a 2-star was 900, 3-star is 1620, and 4-star is 2340. Their spells have a bit more kick to them as well. It'll be pretty rare you'll be able to do this, but when you do, we wanted to pay off to make you smile. Who knows what kind of wild stuff people cook up with this. Hopefully you're looking forward to it. Still more to come this patch. Can't wait to share it all until then. Take it easy. This is actually really good. Disco, thank you for the 3 months in a row, 7 months total. Actually, this is really good for Disco, TFT clips. This is really good for China's content creators. This is really good for a bunch of people who want to just have like the extreme high roll content. Because now you can pursue 4 stars somehow. I'm thinking Pandora's Bench. I'm thinking isn't there a charm that gives you another 3-star 1 cost or whatever? How do you actually get this? Like, is there a way you can actually reliably get this? Oh, worth the wait. Oh, you're right. Worth the wait. Get a random 1-cost champion. Gain another of them at the start of each round for the rest of the game. Yep, just have to wait 27 rounds. Stage 8, we get it. Sounds good. Okay, I mean, that's not actually how you do it. So the way you would do worth the wait would be you get a 1 cost, you get 8 copies of it, then you don't buy the 3-star version of it. Then when the fight starts, you start rolling a bunch to collect as many copies of it as you can to get ahead of it, and hopefully get like 13 or something like that. And then you wait 14 rounds to get it. Holy cow. Double up? Oh, you mean like someone sent it to you in double up? Yeah, that's true. Wait, oh, in double up? That only gets you half of the way there, though, or 2/3 of the way there. It does sound crazy. Can you imagine if someone finds a way to do this with like 3 costs, though? I think it's 1 cost is gonna be the most common. 2 costs is probably not gonna ever happen, but it's still doable. 3 costs just sounds impossible. There's 18 copies. You have to have 9 duplicators equivalent. I don't even know how that even happens. All right, but Disco's about to feast. He might be able to afford the next land trip, not Macau, but the one after that. Okay, here we go. Charms have landed very well for a set mechanic and generally have been awesome part of Magic and Mayhem, and does have one weak spot though, which is late game combat charms. It felt like we didn't have quite enough of them, and they felt like they made a difference to expected. So we're changing that in 14/18. We're adding 10 new charms specifically focused on the stage 4 plus section, almost all combat power. This should both decrease the chances of seeing this type of late game charm and offer you more options instead of just praying that you hit Dragon or Earthquake. It's not pictured here, but also worth noting that Desperate Plea will be making its return. Oh, God. Wait, where's the... Michael Scott.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Dude, they're bringing back Desperate Plea? Oh, man. It's reworked to read next combat, reduce player damage by 80%. This should keep the fancy of that charm without it literally being a free placement. Dude, it's way more than a free placement. It's sometimes like infinite placements. And what I mean by that is it could literally save your game from 7th to being like a top 2 or top 3. Maybe even a win if it ends up being like 1 round you need to stall because you're about to cash out something or you need something else really powerful. A free placement. Honestly, how sweet is it that we could take on already a great set and spend some time making it better? I mean, it's pretty sweet, I guess. Pretty sweet. Let's take a look at these. Guild of Thieves. Get 3 temporary Thieves gloves. Okay, if you have lucky gloves, you're extremely happy about hitting this. Next combat, your team gets 1,000 shield decaying over 5 seconds. Potentially really, really good. Like, I mean, it sounds like a lot of HP, but the fact that it decays over 5 seconds is really quick. Like, sometimes you can't even get value if it's over 8 seconds with things like Crown Guard and whatnot. So we'll see. I can imagine this one. It's 6 gold. It sounds like a lot of shield because if you have 8-9 units, it's 8 to 9,000 shield, which is crazy. But you're not going to use a lot of it. So next combat, your team's physical damage is dealt as magic damage. Oh, that's actually a pretty big cheese. And this is 0. You might think this is not that big of a deal, but I can imagine some worlds where this ends up being really, really like this could actually be really strong and swingy. It's a little bit more abstract though. Your team's physical damage dealt magic damage. So back in set 3 when Janna had a passive like this, that's why they call it Paragon. There was moments where this would actually determine the late game 1v1. Doesn't this make your Last Whisper useless? That I'm not entirely sure how it interacts with, but let's say you're playing let's say that you're playing against someone that's building a bunch of like brambles and whatnot. All of a sudden you can like bypass it. I don't know, actually. This one's kind of weird, but when you convert everything from physical to magic damage, it just adds a little bit of bonus damage to your AP team because your AP team still does some physical damage, and then also yeah, it might cheese fights. Who builds Bramble? Okay, this is the next patch, man. You're telling me you know exactly how items are going to be playing out next patch? And also, people still play Stone Place. People still build Bastion. Next combat, Mana Reeve. Also, does this mean that it might potentially affect other artifacts like Blood Angel? I don't think so. I'm not sure. Mana Reeve all enemies. Oh, this one is insane. Next combat, Mana Reeve all enemies. Wait, this one actually... this one actually might be even more toxic than Desperate Plea. Oh, God. It's not like... It's just like no matter what you do, you just get Mana Reeve. The whole thing. That's huge. Summon a large golem quit with defensive items for 1 round. What kind of defensive items? This is basically dragon, but like golem, and it's 8. Okay, so we get to see a team with golem versus a team with dragon versus a team that mana reads everything versus a team with infinite TGs versus Paragon. Next combat, your units execute enemies that fall below 200 HP. That sounds potentially really good. I can't tell, actually. If you're playing Pyro, this is kind of useless. It might be really good for big AoE champions that like splash things. Like this actually might make like Nora and Nami feel like less bad. The items are Redemption, Crown Guard, and Titans. Okay. Redemption's kind of nice. So you basically frontline it, let it proc the Redemption, let it tank, and then have your Ahri move in. I prefer Mana Reeve. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would rank this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In terms of overall like usefulness, like you'll always like this is never bad to take. It's 4 gold. Like this is such an insane power effect. This is usually like basically you can always click it. The only problem is that it's expensive. This is like generically very good. I just don't know how. I just don't know. Like I just can't like parse. I can't like think about how fast fights combats will be. But like if it's a fast meta where there's like a lot of assassins and big burst damage, this can be pretty useful. The only reason why this is weird is because 1, it's really expensive. It's 8 gold, and 2, it's good for some comps and not good for others. Like some comps, you're not going to even have 3 Thieves Go slot. Like, let's say you're playing this in Kog'Maw right now. You would give a TG to Lilia and to Jake's, and you shouldn't have items. You shouldn't have item slots on any of the other on any other units. So, like you're playing Kog'Maw, you already have items on Tristana, Kog'Maw, Rumble, and Nunu. So, it's a little bit. It's like not as good for certain things. 3 TG is 1.5 prismatics. Oh no, it's really good in certain. I'm talking about like how often you're going to be clicking it. As a dumb person, can you explain what Mana Reeve is? Mana Reeving is shrouding something. So you think Guild of Thieves is the best? Demacian Raptor thinks Guild of Thieves is the best. Okay. Noted. 10 new... Oh, that's only 6. Where are the other 4? You don't have any others? All right, here we go. Ashe Rework. Okay, overall, I'm a little bit hesitant, but I do think late game charm rolling is kind of stale because there's some that you just spike like crazy, and then sometimes you get like your next champion is free this round. You're like, thumbs up, hooray. Ashe had a cool fantasy of shooting tons of arrow, but since her self buff only lasted 5 seconds, the requirement to reach that state limited her itemization to just Rage Blade stacking. We just wanted to allow more diverse itemization options and have even a cooler peak performance. Now her self buff lasts for the rest of combat. This means near the very end of the fight, if you manage to stack up her cast, you get a very satisfying feel where Ashe is just unleashing a ton of arrows into the last target. She's a lot of fun. Mana cost and arrow strength is just a bit, but overall this should feel a lot more hype. A lot to look forward to. I'm super pumped about Macau. Hoping to see a lot of you there. If you miss Vegas, don't miss it this time. Ha ha! Oh man, sorry. He tweeted this out before the ticket sales. It was a highlight of my career. Oh man, do you guys feel terrible yet or what? Let's look at the GIF of the Ashe. Okay. Okay. The Shojin and the Rage Blade. Very cool. Very cool. Dark Tidings. For the rest of combat, fire an additional arrow at a nearby enemy that deals 20 physical damage. Okay, so when she casts, she'll shoot an additional arrow whenever she's auto-attacking, right? And she's at 100 mana. And that stacks with multi-striker. So but this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 arrows she's shooting. Crazy. She's even more Rage Blade reliant right now. Yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, doesn't this actually just do the same thing? Now you just want to build more Rage Blades? I guess like what they're thinking is you can actually build non-Rage Blades and deal more damage. Because if you build Rage Blade, then you're probably lacking some DPS, but it's funny that in the example also uses Rage Blade. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if this accomplishes what they're looking for. I feel like it might do the exact same thing. I don't know. All right, here we go. This one is every PV round now drops a remove. Oh, a lot of people have seen this already. As mentioned, system updates as well. Do you find yourself with items stuck in places you wish they weren't? Well, now things should be easier. Every PvE round, including the start of the game, if you don't already have an item remover, then you are 100% guaranteed to drop one for free. That's right. In efforts to make TFT more accessible without removing the depth, but finding that letting players feel a bit less committed about their item slams while still having the resources to manage it can help make it feel less daunting to slam an item that isn't exactly one the guide you said, or use it on champ knowing that they can move it later. So we're now getting an item remover every stage. That's a huge deal for high level. Not a big deal. Not a big deal if you're a casual player. Chances are this doesn't really meaningfully change your play outside of like you'll now be able to itemize more cleanly for your final board. I high level play at like, you know, I'm talking about people who really want to min-max the game. This is a huge amount of resources that'll now make it so that way it just changes the way you itemize in the early mid game like a lot. Are they getting rid of remover augments? Oh yeah, what does this do to golden remover? I don't know. Maybe they oh, I guess it technically makes it a reforger. Oh, wait a second. So if you take golden remover, now you get one reforger per stage. Holy, wait a second. Now you that's actually so interesting. Okay, hold on. For those of you who don't know, if you have a golden remover and you get a magnetic remover, it now turns into reforgers, which is good. It fixes your items, you know. You don't need Pandoras as much anymore. If you get 3-4 reforgers throughout the course of the game, surely you can find the correct items to slam. So it's a really interesting change. I don't think it's pure positive or negative. It just changes the game. And one thing, so the positives are pretty obvious. People who get a remover versus don't, you get so much more flexibility in your itemization, and it actually helps your transition a lot. So let's say you're rolling down and you're holding a bunch of pairs of 4 costs, but you're trying to item hold, and you don't want to slam on a unit that you don't want to sell, right? So let's say you're playing a multi-striker board. You want to put your items onto like a Fiora 2, but or sorry, not a multi-striker board, but you're rolling down for an AD board, and so you put your items on Hecarim, but you don't want to sell that Hecarim later on, so you want to so you kind of have to struggle with the item, like who's holding what. Now you can just slam it on your best unit always, and so that kind of like, you know, dynamic is improved, but there's less punish for bad item decision making, which you could actually argue is not necessarily that big of a deal because it's like a really granular thing. But in reality, there's a lot of like proper item planning and item economy things that this ends up smoothing, like basically reducing the skill gap in that. You could argue that's not really valuable, like important skill to measure in TFT, but it is something that becomes less important. I could see this being a thing where like you get a magnetic remover You just get 1 free magnetic remover, and it might be like at the end of stage 2, and like that's it. 3 might be, or 3 plus might be too much. There's just like, there's like a ton of item removers. I don't know. It only gives you item removers if you don't have one. Yeah, exactly. Oh, you're saying maybe it counts the golden remover as one. Oh. Yeah, maybe. I don't like that they're removing that decision making. Yeah, I mean, so for example, if you're playing Portal right now, a really common strategy is to try and item hold onto Zoe. So if you have something like red buff and death cap or whatever, and you're trying to like ladder up to rise, you stack these items onto like Zoe, right? But you end up holding 1 extra Zoe. Now you don't have to hold that extra Zoe, and you can just simply remove and put it onto rise whenever you hit it. And that also means a couple of things. That also means that you're a little bit richer than usual. And your roll downs are going to be a little bit less complex. So there, again, it's a trade-off. I don't think it's strictly bad or strictly good. I just think it's different now. We'll see. I don't know if it was removing decision making. Oh, okay. So it does remove decision making though. It absolutely does. Okay, so let's say you're rolling down. I mean, I just gave another scenario. Let me see if I can try to go for another one. Let's say you're rolling for a Callista board. You have Callista 1, and you have Hecarim, and you have Fiora. Like we're talking about like this, but you have Fiora pair and Callista pair. What ends up happening in a lot of situations is people don't want to slam on their 2-star units unless they have, or they don't want to slam on their 1-star unit. They rather slam on their 2-star unit. But if they slam on a 2-star unit that's like really valuable, they have to sell that later on. And so there's like a little bit of this dynamic of who do I put my items on? And it creates like a skill gap of people who can understand when you're supposed to put items on lower cost champions that are upgraded versus 1-star versions of those champions, if that makes sense. But now you can just like, well, it doesn't really matter. Just slam those items, and then it reduces the amount of mistakes you can make around it. There's fewer ways you can make errors with items is probably the better way to describe it now. Okay, 10 mage is a thing instead of 9 mage. With the addition of the golden fighting pan, stuff like high vertical classes become possible, and we can add interesting chase traits on that side of the trait web as well. And now since 9 mage wasn't very exciting, we decided to make 10 mage was worthy of a prismatic. Okay, so 10 mages. Mages cast much more frequently. What does that even mean? Now when you hit 10 mage, not only do you get a large amount of AP, all your mages max mana is set to 20, so it's a wild casting. Oh, I see. So they all have 20 mana now. Oh, that sounds fun. I'm definitely going to try 10 mages. And frying pan is what? Tier or rod? Rod and pan? Right, but weren't people just holding a replacement? But that makes roll downs harder. If you've ever done a level 8 roll down, you know holding 1 or 2 replacement units reduces your bench and ties up your economy and just makes it much more complicated. That also means that whoever's holding the mage emblem gets 20 mana. So yeah, people are saying 20 mana Morg, 20 mana Milio, 20 mana Xerath. It's gonna be crazy. Okay, Nomsy Rework. Another 14-18 champ rework preview. Nomsy's an adorable little dragon who can do okay in stage 2, but hasn't really had a chance to shine and come with some frustrating moments, such as using his spell. Oh, him. Okay. People said Nomsy was a her, so I just kept saying her, but on someone with a little bit of HP left. So we're changing his spell to deal with some of that frustration. First, instead of coming as a bunch of small ticks, the spell hits in one large satisfying chunk. Big numbers. Also makes him a good Ludens user. 1,000 damage. Second, if his spell overkills, that fireball will split into 2 nearby targets and share some of the damage. So now making sure this spell hits as hard as possible is in your best interest. Cool. So, i.e. Deathblade, things like that won't feel bad to build because Nomsy overkills. Finally, if you manage to get 3 Dragon in, the Power of Friendship gives the spell additional power and will split to 4 targets instead of 2. Makes for some powerful late game fire moments. Hopefully looking forward to it. That's okay. Nomsy sounds way better. Do you guys let me take a trip down the past. Do you guys remember in set 9. You guys remember in set 9, they actually changed a champion to make sure that her damage was much more efficient. There's a 1-cost unit, Samira, who would shoot at the current target and deal damage and reduce their armor, and she was 30 mana. And the problem is that she would shoot often, but sometimes she would shoot at a unit that was about to die. So you lost the flare. And so Riot changed it so that way it guarantees lands. If it it's like smart targeting. So if flare casts but the unit's like about to die, she's going to choose someone else. And so which was a nice quality of life change. But basically now Nomsy's getting something similar to it. Not quite the exact same thing, but basically now damage isn't wasted. So we don't actually know how powerful Nomsy actually is because so much of his ability is just wasted right now, so it's impossible to tell. But if it's anything like what they're showing, which is like a ton of this damage, it has a lot of power. And they also are buffing Draconic Mastery, and they're giving 3 dragon like late game scaling. Like Nomsy's already, by the way, just putting it out there, Nomsy's already the best 1-cost late game if you can activate 3 dragon. The only exception is hero augments or like Warwick 3 with like Corrupted Vampiric Scepter. But like those are like conditional things. Like Nomsy just in a vacuum, activate 3 dragon on Nomsy. Nomsy has the strongest like late game. So yeah, that sounds really good. Link to the GIF. Here we go. Here's the GIF. Oh, it's not like, so is it only doing is it doing a percentage of the overkill? It's only 300. It's like a third of the damage. Okay. It's not like, so is it like a percentage of how much it overkills or what? Actually, let's look at the ability. Needs the current target dealing 360 physical damage. 50% of overkill damage is dealt to. Oh, I see. Ah, okay. That still sounds really good. That still sounds really good, especially because Nomsy's a hunter and they're buffing hunters, right? 3-star ceremony animation removed. Have you ever managed to get a 3-star champion right at the buzzer only for them to not combine because of the ceremony? Feels pretty bad, right? Well, no more. We're changing the combined ceremony for 3-star champions to be instant, so as long as you manage to buy that last champion before the clock hits 0, you'll find yourself with the golden champion. Team is cooking, and this should be a nice addition to the patch. I've seen this, and that's a great quality of life change. Thumbs up from me. This is just instantly 3-star, and you get it. There's no like combine. So that way you miss it. That is huge. Oh man, this one's like his most popular tweet. A Zale tweet. I love objectively good quality of life changes like this. Yeah, I mean, this one's pretty good. Honeymancer's Rework. I mean, does anybody dislike this? I'm pretty sure there's 0 people that'd be like, nah, give me my ceremony. No way it's splitting. Wouldn't 3 dragon be worse? It's overkill. You're thinking overkill damage. Luden's Nomsy doesn't seem to be working 100% of the time in PvE. Blacksmith's Glove, Shyvana 3 consistently does more damage. Okay. Good to know. The challenge with Honeymancy before that was the damage having to be the same at each breakpoint. Didn't give many tuning levers. Any buff to 5 and 7 also buffed 3, which was in a good spot. Likewise, you never really got to achieve the so many bees fantasy. We need more bees. Now the baseline is always 5 bees at every level, but if you also pass 3 bees on death, which can lead to a cool moment where your final unit has a lot of bees, from there we tune each trait breakpoint finally with the damage. And of course, 7 Honeymancy is really hard to hit and should be worth the payoff, so now the bees will attack twice as fast. I know we'll have a lot of reroll comps to set, but Honeymancy was once to be one of those, and I hope this makes the trait more fun for players who enjoy our yellow friends. I'll be posting more of these stingers as time goes on. Yeah, alright, Mort. Okay, I mean, it's making like a ring of bees. Honeymancy's gain 5 bees that deal magic damage to a target every 3 seconds. Each bee deals damage based on the damage that Honeymancer deals and takes. When a Honeymancer dies, they leave 2 bees that fall nearby enemies. 6% of damage dealt, 2% of damage taken, 8% of damage dealt, 4% of damage taken,
Man, I'm getting Mortdog again.
12% of damage dealt, 6% of damage taken, bees damage twice as often. That sounds crazy. Leon, thank you, buddy. It sounds like a lot, actually, don't you guys think? 7 honey, and you get 1, 2, 3. How many bees you get? You get 7 times 5. That's 35 bees. But then when they die, they leave behind 2 bees. In case you guys don't know, by the way, vertical Honeymancy is already kind of strong. And now they're basically doubling the amount of bees they leave behind. They usually leave 1, right? What about bee as friends? Does that leave 3 now? This is basically laser core. I mean, this looks crazy. Yeah, I'm Honeymancy. 20 out of 20. That's definitely up there. I think Honeymancy. Okay, obviously 10 mage is going to be insane, but like you're not going to see that often. So I think Honeymancy, the Lategame Charms, the Faerie Rework are probably the top 3 of the strongest things so far I'm looking at. Ahri, her spell is very odd in that it had a long travel time and would hit targets to pass through, leading to situations where sometimes you hit 1 target and other times you melt 4. Her passive also made Ahri in the late game or the early game very weak. While a full RE3 was way too strong. Finally, the fact that she did so much true damage meant it pushed out a lot of defensive options. Her new spell removes the passive so we can make sure she's exciting at all stages of the game. Her true damage has been moved to her Foxfires and hits nearby targets. And she ramps up, promoting her use using Scholar and mana items well. This should lead to a healthier style of champion. Numbers are not final. Stay tuned to the... Okay, this is actually him. Just previewing everything else. Link to the GIF. Why does Nash's look like this? Whoa. All right. So now she shoots. Okay, these little Firefox that dink for 35 true damage. Okay, this doesn't look very good, but I guess she might not have a lot of traits in at the moment. Orb of Perception. Fire an orb at the current target, dealing 300 magic damage. Launch 3 Firefoxes near the target, dealing 25 true damage. Oh, I guess it's like 25 was a bit. Okay, so they probably just didn't like build a lot into it. It's basically 2-cost Syndra from last set. Oh, gain additional Foxfire. Oh, she's gaining more Firefoxes. That's kind of cool, actually. So they're having a bunch more scaling. So we have Warwick, 1-cost scaler. We got Ashe, 1 cost. Or she's not. Like Ashe also scales in combat, but then like Syndra scales out of combat. Ahri scales in combat. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. All right, and that's it. Wow, what we went through all these changes. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to summarize my thoughts here. Okay. I wanted to originally. Can I change this? Okay, let me see. I wanted to do like a little spreadsheet, like a summary of like whether or not I like this and my thoughts on it. So, trait balancing. I'm gonna go ahead and hide this. Bunch of balance to traits. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I think. Wait, what? I thought I had this. Okay, let me clear this content. Hello. Okay. Can I actually change this? Oh. All right. How about like, dislike, and hate and love? We'll use extreme. We'll use extremes. Hate, love is dark green. Dislike is like a light red. Done. Okay. Bunch of balanced traits. I like this. I mean, come on. We need balanced traits. What are they balancing? They're balancing hunters, witchcrafts. Yeah, okay. Some of these are not exciting. I'm okay with it. I think it's overall it's fine. For instance, what is this? Oh, what the hell is this? Tooltip now displays number of snips next to this cast will do. Gwen will now dash into 3 hexes to the hex first. The most enemies that can still snip her target. Gwen now takes a fixed amount of time to do all of her snips. If Gwen target is out of range when she would start snipping, she dashes up again, she catches up with them. Fix a bug when Gwen snip animations and voice effects. Each snip's damage is now a separate number instead of stacking. Recover from the final snip slightly faster. Fix a rare bug where Gwen could stand around just chilling for a few seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sentences. Ugh, oh my god. This guy they're just writing a novel. I mean, Gwen, that sounds insane. They're just buffing Gwen 8 times. Okay, Shen hero augments. I honestly, okay, I can't pick a neutral on this. I'm just gonna go ahead and just write. It's fine. I think more ways to play carries is kind of fun. Line AOE. I think it's like okay. It's more fun ways to play. Like it might be kind of woke. I actually secretly hope this is kind of bad because then people would think Pillar Flame woke instead of like bedge. So I would like it if Shen's hero augment averaged like a 4.7, but like people are encouraged to take it, you know. 4 cost odds at 8. Oh, I love this one. Because 20 to 22%. I love this one because 4 costs just can't keep up with reroll. Still not gonna hit anyways though. But like I like this buff, but like let's be real, we're not gonna hit anyways. What do I blame now? They buffed the 4 cost odds. And now they also now you're 10% more likely to find Gwen. Okay, not really. This is not exactly a 10% buff to find Gwen, but yeah. All right. Ezreal Rework. Ezreal Rework. More single target damage. I mean, I like it. Ezreal's kind of a meme. He generally won't int likely to be OP. This is one of the I think this is one of the things that's probably going to be really, really strong. New trait specific augments and a few adjusted ones. Oh, this one is trait specific augments. I like all these changes a lot. I actually really love the wolf. The wolf is like the cool one to me. You guys saw it? Oh wait. I don't really like the arcane conduit one. That probably is going to be either that sounds to me like basically binary airdrop, but I think I love the wolf mainly for the doggo. All right. Wukong Rework. I'm pretty apathetic about it. I actually do think that Wukong is too much tied into Stoneplate. So I think I will like it, but like I'm like more neutral than anything like that. Reworked passive. What are they changing for Ezreal? More single target damage. Faerie Rework. So the Faerie Rework. They're now doing 357 with extra crown. I actually dislike this. I think this is gonna be like kind of OP. Very likely to be OP. I think this is I actually think this might be a little overkill, but that's probably because of the numbers. It's probably because of the number. Also, I feel like the 2 crowns, yeah, it just sounds kind of insane. Also, I did like the splash ability of 2 fairy. I'm not entirely sure. I'm only doing this because I have to choose. I'm kind of like mixed on this. All right, maybe I should take a cop out. I'm just gonna write at it mixed. I'm mixed on this. Okay, 4-star champions are a thing. I mean, this one's just fun. 27 copies of a unit. I mean, who hates this one? More tubers. 10 new late game charms. 10 late game charms. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just write dislike mainly because of desperate plea is back. Oh god. Be stage 4+. Ashe Rework. Ashe Rework details basically scaling arrows. I mean, I think it's okay. I'm like, I mean, okay, I like it, but it's like, but still Rageblade dependent. I don't understand like why they're. if they just said that we just want to make Ashe cooler, I think that'd be fine. But if they're like, oh, we want to make her less rage delay dependent, I don't feel like they did that. I feel like it's the same thing. Every PV drops more item removers. Oh, okay. More item removers. Every stage get one, if none. I'm mixed on this. Lose some skill, item skill expression, but more fun. I mean, it does make the game a little bit more fun, which is ultimately, I think, a good thing. 10 mage. I'm just gonna go ahead and dislike it because somehow everyone always hits it and I don't. Yeah, that's probably gonna be a summary of like of it. But actually, it's pretty exciting though. 10 mage now auto wins. Nomsy Rework. Nomsy Rework. So this is like overkill plus late game scaling. I like it. I think Nomsy's like now Nomsy might be, or now Nomsy is definitely strongest one cost late game, I think. We'll see. Okay, definitely might be a little bit too strong of a word, but who cares? 3-star ceremony now. Okay, this is just good. 3-starring animation removed. No longer 3x 2-star on bench. I mean, that's a love. Good. Honeymancy Rework. Honeymancy Rework. More bees. This one is pretty OP. I might mix it because like I like more bees, but it sounds very OP. And then Ahri Rework. Scaling Firefoxes like S11 Syndra, which I generally like because this set Ahri is worst Ahri, so I'm down. Oh yeah, I realize I'm covering some of the text I'm writing. Okay, so this is the summary, you guys. I realized I was typing and you guys weren't even seeing it, but okay. What do you guys think? Overall, thumbs up, thumbs down the patch. Actually, we haven't even seen what they're doing with each champion stuff and item changes either, right? Sunday, we're going to do the full patch rundown. So this is just like a preview of what we've seen so far. I like it. We're doing a poll right now. I'm going to sneeze real quick. All right, looks like the early poll is suggesting that people are doing it a thumbs up. I mean, overall, they're doing so much work, and they're like totally right. Like, this is an insane amount of content. Like, you have to guys remember that, like, if this was another company, a lot of people would just be like, yeah, set 12's like already done. Let's just focus on set 13 and focus on what makes the money. And like, let's just stop worrying about set 12. TFT players are just a bunch of whiners anyways. But they went above and beyond with all these changes. It's crazy. 86% in favor of thumbs up, 14% thumbs down. Anybody who's thumbs downs in, can you tell me why? Just out of curiosity.